Knees and toes.
Does shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Wednesday, May 27, 2026. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host, Phil. Episode 440. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikToks at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com and look for time breakdowns in the description of the show. On today's episode, we're going to work in reverse order here of what we're going to do. All these topics are going to be on the show, so buckle up. Nominees for the Sabres BSC Awards show. We'll be handing out awards next week to the most coveted award in sports and entertainment history. Fifth time doing it for the Sabres. We got Ottawa. The Ottawa Black Bears might be in a little bit of a trouble joining Philly. It's never a boring offseason, Phil. Every time I'm hoping for a boring offseason, it never happens. Bandits topic that we're going to be going over, what their current roster looks like, contract situations, and all of that. But we'll start after our week review with Ask the BSC. We posted that early Tuesday morning because, again, I forgot because it was Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully everybody spent a little time remembering what Memorial Day is all about. But, Phil, week in review, how we do every off-season show to kick it off. What did you do in the last week? Actually, I said I would start off this week. I apologize. Brooke was off on vacation Thursday morning. I thought her flight was at like 5, so I had to wake up at like 3:30 to drive him to the airport, and then came back home, took a nap, and then because it was a nap, and then went to work. But she was gone Thursday through Saturday, and I don't think I sat or enjoyed any peace and quiet the entire time, because yours truly has a completed, finished garden now. We were digging up everything a couple weeks ago. The post went in the ground because everybody knows about the whole. I said in the last show about the greenhouse blown away. The fencing's up, the boards are up, the gate is done, the plants are in the ground, the soil got dropped off last Wednesday. The rocks are done, so I can walk along it now. The tomato plants got the cages around them. I'm just waiting on. My mom works at a nursery. She picked up some zucchini plants and marigolds for me, so I got to plant both of those tomorrow. As you're listening to this, I'm probably in the garden planting, but I'm a full-on farmer now, Phil. So that was my week. Beyond that, didn't really do much. Had one soccer game to finish off that section. I'm off this week, and then the next session starts next week. But other than that, I was pretty much just working on my farmer's tan out there, Phil. That's all I was working on.
How's the plantar fasciitis with soccer?
It was going good, so I took off the brace. Shouldn't have taken off the brace because my foot was killing me on Monday night. So I was walking with a bit of a limp. But then we ran into people that Brooke knew at a local restaurant or ice cream place around our area. And the one girl was like, yeah, plantar fasciitis. I had it for 2 or 3 years until I had to get surgery to finally get it fixed. I was like, oh,
Yikes.
That's reassuring for me. Thanks for the good news there, guys. Thank you. Much appreciated.
My brother did say he had it for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then he's a teacher, so he got it kind of while teaching because he was standing a lot. But then I guess he got it toward the end of the school year, so then he went into summer break, rested, and then he was fine. So his only lasted about a month. And it sounds like yours was going well when you had the brace on. So hopefully not 3 years and surgery long.
Yeah, I heard everybody's recovery time is a bit different depending on how much rest and relaxation you get. And it's really nice out, so I ain't getting any of that.
My week, I went to a concert on Friday night. Saturday, the wife was out of town with her family in Rochester. So similar to you, ended up like cleaning the whole house and doing some other stuff around the house. I cleaned the oven for the first time in a long time. That was really challenging.
Because you're one of those freaks that doesn't use a pizza pan.
No, yeah, I don't. I definitely don't. But did a lot of chores on Saturday, and then Sunday went over to the parents for a cookout, and that was about it. That was about it.
Yeah, these will pick up as the summer goes, but we're just starting our relaxation mode of full NLL season. But we'll move on. Ask the BSC, because it was late, we only got 2 submissions. So if you can only put your stories on Instagram, that I'm finding out, because I'm getting more social media savvy, for 24 hours. So if you post this later, I'll get it to you next week. Sorry, you won't be on this episode because I'm dumb and forgot to post it on Monday. But we got 2 questions submitted. If you want to ask us anything, tell us we suck. I don't care. It's going to be out the day before recording. So as of now, it'll be out on... Whenever you see it, just know we're recording 24 hours later. So stay tuned for the Instagrams. It'll either be on Sundays or Mondays, depending on when we're recording. We either record Mondays or Tuesdays in the off season because nothing goes on. So it really doesn't matter when we record. But these are the 2 questions. First one, rank your Buffalo sports teams by optimism for the 2026-27 season. I really like this one because as I was trying to come up with like my order, I was like, man, we really don't, for the 5 years we've been doing, over 5 years now, we don't really combine the sports very often.
No.
And I think that goes back to there's some people that are just Sabres fans. There's some people that are just Bandits fans. So we try to keep it separate. But I do like this question because it kind of forces you to think of all 3 of them together and compare them to one another. So I started with the Bills, and maybe that'll shock people because of my opinions on the Bills, but it's for a couple reasons. Josh Allen, the change in defense, and I think DJ Moore addition is going to be absolutely massive. It's hard to go against what we have seen from the Bills, and I understand with the new coaching staff and the new defensive schemes and how we've been let down time and time again just on the 5 years we've been doing the show, having to record, especially after the 13 seconds. But I feel like betting favorites would give the Bills the best optimism for me going into next season because there are a lot of question marks considering all 3 of these teams. Then I would put the Bandits, and that's just based on track record. I know they're likely to be without Mad Vince and without Bucky and a few other players, but they still have Josh Byrne, they still have Dane Smith, they still have Steve Pirola, they still have the core nucleus of the team. And if I knew for sure Matty Vince was coming back, they would be my number 1. But because the goaltending position is such a question mark, and because we know how important that is, I put them second. And I'm just basing this on how much I believe that they can go in and win a championship. That's why I got them second. And then I got the Sabres. And I know I got all hot and bothered for the last month, 2 months, 3 months on this run here. But in the back of my head, it's still, okay, what type of team can they actually replicate this? We have seen it for years of, I know this was a longer span and they went into the playoffs and broke the drought and all that kind of stuff. But, who stays? Who goes? Who's in net? Have they actually fully turned the corner? Are they going to pumpkin eventually? Like, I went out on a limb very early and said, like, this is a different team this year before, like, a lot of people were fully bought into it. I was like, okay, I'm buying in fully. But in the back of my head, I'm just like, this could be just like, is this pumpkin? Like, when are they going to pumpkin here? Because I've lived in that reality for so long. I'm worried and nervous to just fully buy in. So I got it Bills, Bandits, Sabres for those reasons.
Yeah, there's definitely a question. Sorry, I thought I was hearing a cat crying, and I might have been, but they might have stopped before I could listen.
That's an FPP there.
That is. There's definitely issues with all these teams for sure. To me, I think you have to put the Bills at number 1, even though I don't have... I feel like they're hard to have general optimism for because they haven't done anything with these great teams and Josh Allen before. So I feel like it's tough to have just like, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Like we've been saying that for how many years now and nothing's really happened. So I feel like it's kind of the opposite of what we were with the Sabres, where the Sabres, we just kind of gave up them making playoffs. And I feel like the Bills, I've kind of given up making the Super Bowl just because we've heard it every single year for multiple years. But They did make some changes, not the changes we wanted per se, but bringing in DJ Moore, I do think is massive. And we'll see what Brady can come up with and this coaching staff and the new defense and all that kind of stuff. We'll see. But I think with just Allen there, they have to have probably the most optimism. To me, I feel like you and I are very different on the Bandits this offseason, but I have the Sabres second. I think with everything they did, I think the offseason they should have positive changes compared to, like, most of the team that they want to bring back should be able to come back. And that team was really, really good down the stretch. And I hope more than I think, that they can add to that team. There's not a lot of room and they don't need to do a ton, but I think they can add some pieces to that team to make it a little bit stronger and then just kind of build off the season they had. I do think in net will be a massive question mark, very similar to the Bandits, but we'll say hypothetically they play it super safe and they keep Lyon and they keep UPL. We've seen that work. Do I think it's going to work in playoffs? I don't know, because we just saw that fail in playoffs, but at least throughout the season, I know the division they play in is extremely difficult. It's only going to get more difficult moving forward, but I think they should be able to replicate what they did. And that was all pretty much without a power play. So score a couple power play goals and you're even better. But I do understand what you're saying. Could they also pumpkin and just not make the playoffs and fall on their face? Yeah, that is absolutely in the realm of possibilities. But for the Bandits, I'm pretty skeptical on them heading into next year. This season, you had 2 players in the top 5 in points, and you still didn't have a very good season. Your offense was not very good throughout the whole year and then collapsed in playoffs. And now you're losing a 30-goal scorer in Buchanan. You're losing the greatest goaltender of all time in Matt Vince. I don't know how they make up even just those 2 players, not even including Dawson. He's also a big part of the defense and everything. But Buchanan and Vince alone, I don't know how you make up what you're going to be missing from them. And that was already a struggle this season with them on the team without Cloutier and Fraser. So I'm pretty skeptical / negative, I guess, on the Bandits. Like you said, they have a core that's still extremely good. And when we break down the roster, you're going to see there aren't really that many holes. But the holes that were just created are, to me, massive. And for an offense that was already reeling, you're losing your 30-goal scorer and Waterbug and Buchanan. To me, this season showed that I just don't know if Nanico can step into that role and start scoring goals again like he did earlier in his career, because I wanted him to step up this season, and they had to go out and get Joey Rez to kind of cover what was happening on the right side because it wasn't good enough. So their offense worries me and their goaltending worries me. I think Dane and Byrne will be fine. I think the pieces they have on offense currently will be fine, but it's just replacing Buchanan on an already what was a bit of a shaky offense up and down this season. I just don't know what they're going to be able to do to replicate that. Now, Dietrich has also done an incredible job in his tenure as a GM, so do I think he can go out and find a way through a trade, through free agency, through the draft to fill the holes? I mean, you're never replacing Matt Vince, you're never replacing Kyle Buchanan 1-for-1, but you can soften the blow for sure with moves and additions and everything. But I think, to me, they have the biggest holes on their team currently headed into the offseason compared to the other 2 teams.
I almost fell for the bait, and I'm not going to, because we're going to talk about the roster construction in a bit here. So I'll let that go. I think you actually have more faith in the Sabres than I do, and I think that probably factored into it, because as the Bandits roster stands now, they don't really have a starting goaltender, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are high on Shaganash, and people are saying give Evan C a shot, but neither one of them, to me, are if they're in between the pipes, I don't think you're playoff contention. Correct. I'll put it like that. Dietrich has to do something, and considering they don't have anything in net right now, I think that is a fair way to look at the current roster. But again, we'll go over that in a second. But the second question that got sent in, and I do like some of these more personal questions. Don't go too personal, even though I probably will answer them. Phil, sports you played growing up. I feel like I was kind of like a cornucopia. I had my main one, but I kind of dipped my toes in a lot of other sports. Like basketball was my number one. Like I played that from the age of 3 when, the basketball was bigger than your head, all the way to like I was 20. Like I didn't go anywhere past or high school. Like played in a couple rec teams once I got done with high school, but that was pretty much my one and done type of sport growing up. I had soccer 5th grade till still now. I'm still getting hurt because of it. Volleyball all through high school. I did karate for 1 year.
There it
And if
is.
you're expecting me to defend you, it ain't gonna happen. Like I can talk crap with the best of them, but if
Can't
you're
back it
relying on
up.
me, you got one punch and one kick, and if they ain't going down after that, I'm in trouble and asking for help. I did baseball for 3 years in middle school, and everybody tells me, like my dad said, I could have been a really good baseball player. I didn't like it as much as I probably do now. So it kind of like looking back, that's probably my one biggest regret of not sticking with baseball is I feel like I could have been pretty good with that one. And then I did 3 years of bowling, and me and my brother are Game Zone champions. Game Zone might not exist anymore. The sign in the back of the building's still there. But I got a trophy around here somewhere. Actually, I was the MVP of the whole league too, so I got 2
Heyo.
trophies somewhere from like 5th or 6th grade when me and him won the Game Zone championship. But yeah, I dipped my toes in a lot of different sports.
Yeah, I guess I was similar. I did play, I have no idea, intramural, whatever you want to call it, back in the day. I did play volleyball for a little bit doing that. I was on whatever team that was. We went to other schools, but it wasn't like modified or anything. It was before that. Did a wee bit, I think maybe 2 years of lacrosse, but I was goalie, so no idea to do anything else other than stand there, especially when you're that young. You don't have to do much because nobody can shoot. So just make yourself big. And then baseball and soccer were my two that I did from, like you said, 3, 4, 5 years old all the way through. Soccer I did through college, a little bit there. Baseball I did through high school. And then they said there were 2 practices a week in college. I was like, no, I don't think so. I definitely, similar to you, like, and I swam in middle school and high school. That was my winter sport, just to kind of stay active and do something. It was kind of funny, like soccer. I was goalie in soccer, so I didn't run a ton. I mean, I was actually like every other year I was either goalie, midfield. I hated, that's too much running. Did a lot of defense, that was fun, but I was also left-footed, and that was rare. So they'd often have me in midfield, and I can't run. I can't run that much. Can't run. So then I went back to goalie, and I got to stand around, and that was great. But I feel like it was a weird cycle where soccer I'd be in some shape, swimming I'd be in the best shape for sure, because I don't know how I possibly did what I did when I was swimming. I can't even do like the warm-up we used to do at the very beginning of practice anymore. Swimming's insane.
Still way more than I can do.
Yeah, it's that's true. And then baseball come around, and it's real lazy, especially when you're just growing up and doing it in high school and everything. Like we didn't get very serious, but I think baseball was the one I played the most. But similar to you, like I wish I would have played soccer more. I still did camps, but I never really did travel soccer or anything. I think I did house soccer before school started, but once school started for soccer, that's all I really did. Like I just did modified JV, varsity, and then college, but I didn't really do travel soccer at all, or like off-season soccer. I would do camps here and there. But baseball, I was playing a lot, did a lot of camps, did like that where I would still play over summer, and I think I did some winter like indoor stuff with that too, with like batting cages and things. But I wish I would have given more to soccer, because I think I was naturally a better soccer goalie than I was a baseball player. Like I feel like I had to fight really hard to be a good baseball player, and I think I was pretty good, but I feel like there was a lot of practice involved and a lot of camps just to get to where I was, whereas soccer I didn't do nearly as much training, but I was really good at soccer, and I feel like I wish I would have given more attention to that. I did play 1 year of Pee Wee football. My parents made me try football and give up soccer for a year, and we got a trophy that year. It was a really big trophy for winning like one game in this tournament. We were horrible as a team. And I also got one of my 2 concussions playing football, because I was on the line. I don't know why I was on the line, but I got wrecked. Somebody just trucked me over. I slammed my head onto the ground. And then I remember looking up and the guy who had the ball, the running back, tripped over me, and then all of his weight landed on my head as well, and then I blacked out and didn't remember much after that. But that was fun.
You
So
got
yeah,
tackle.
those
You got
are.
tackle.
I did get a tackle, and then I was right out of the game. I did one run. It was like an end around, and I got 15 yards, and I was jazzed. I was like, "Oh, here we go!" And then we got a 15-yard penalty on the same, and that was it. That was my offensive career. I believe I had one run. It went great, and then never again.
Yeah, your baseball was my basketball,
Yeah.
and then your soccer was my baseball. Like my dad is in the Western New York Softball Hall of Fame. Brag on him, but he to this day says I could have made it to college and done baseball. Just that again, that's my biggest regret. But like basketball, I was on the AAU teams. I was like even when I was playing volleyball for high school, there were camps and stuff in
Yep.
the fall that I had to do. And it was nonstop basketball my entire life from age 3 to 18, just to get to the point of, okay, now you're sitting on the bench for varsity and watching people that are, a foot taller than you and have more skill than you play basketball while you're sitting there. Like that's my biggest regret. Not that I played basketball because I loved every second of it, but not giving enough attention to baseball when it was a spring sport where I could have still done that. But yeah, I also did. You did one season of football. I did one practice of football my freshman year of high school. Like I went out for 1 2-a-day and then realized that 2 a-days were for the rest of my summer, which was like another month and a half. So the next morning, I loaded all my pads in my football helmet, went to the coach and said, I ain't doing this the rest of my summer, handed it to him and went home. I was like, I'm 5'8", maybe $130 soaking wet. There's no chance I'm like, even if I make this football team, I'm going to die. So I'm good. See you later. And then they ended up winning state my senior year. I was like, I don't even care. I wouldn't have made it. I'm good with what I did. But we'll move on here. Thank you for the questions again. Stay tuned. Ask the BSC. We'll continue all through the offseason. Let's look at the Bandits here. And we're trying to bridge the gap here the next 2 weeks to get us to the BSC Bandits nominees. And because their season ended so quickly. But let's take a look at where their roster stands right now. And I know the previous season is technically still going on until free agency opens. That's technically the new league year, I believe. So I know it's going to look a little bit different as we move forward and players get contracts, because we already saw Eli McLaughlin sign a 3-year deal. Connor Kirsch got a 2-year deal with Vegas. Drew Belgrave did as well. So there's going to be contracts that come and go. But as of this recording right now, let's break it down. We'll go forwards, lefty right now. As of this moment, out of the 4 lefties that they have on the roster, one of them is under contract right now, and that's Josh Byrne for another 3 years. Ian McKay is UFA. Clay Scanlon, his rights still remain with Buffalo because he hasn't had 3 years of eligibility yet. And then I believe, I could be corrected, don't hear what I'm not saying, I might be wrong on this because I haven't fully understood the new CBA yet, but I believe because Coltrane Tyson was still on the practice roster when the season concluded, I believe he is a UFA going into this offseason. So he will need a new deal along with Scanlon, McKay. Byrne is locked up for another 3 years. We'll just switch to the righties now, and we'll hit the forwards in one big group here. Kyle Buchanan's a UFA. Joe Rezateris is an RFA, and then Tehoka Nanticoke and Dane Smith each have 2 years left on their current deals. So
Joe's a UFA. You said R.
UFA. I apologize. Yes, UFA. So there's a ton of players that are up that need contracts. Like we mentioned, I expect Clay Scanlon to come back. I expect Ian McKay to come back. Coltrane Tyson I expect to get re-up. And then it comes down to Kyle Buchanan and Joe Rezateris. Like, it's out of the 8 groups, 8 players up there, only 3 are currently under contract, but I would feel good about at least 2 or 3 more signing back on. That means there's some openings left on this team, especially if Kyle Buchanan does go off into the sunset and Joe Rezateris might either hang it up or they don't bring him back, or maybe they do. But I think that there could be some change up on the forward group here with this team.
Yeah, I think a lot of this, it's going to be obviously the theme of the offseason that we've been dreading, but it seems like a lot of this will depend on Matt Vince again. And we'll assume he retires right now. I think that's kind of where he's leaning and everything. If he comes back, I think we'd be more shocked than we currently are. If he retires, we'd be like, okay, that's kind of what we were expecting.
I think it's like 80-20 retires.
Right. So we'll go with the 80, which is retire. So we'll currently say he's not on the team. I think so much of this makeup comes down to what they do at goalie, obviously. But like even, I'm bringing it up because Joey Rez, like, if they get a goalie that they think can immediately compete for a title, maybe you bring a Joe Rez back if he wants to come back and doesn't hang it up. But if they get a goalie that's kind of just a stopgap that, yes, they're still going for playoffs, yes, they're still going for a title, but be a little bit more of a surprise and a little bit more of a, we need to flip this roster over now and kind of get a younger core going, then I think maybe they don't try to get a Joey Rez back and they go after either a younger free agent or the draft, which is going to be one of their higher draft picks in a very long time. So to me, I think, again, it's going to be for everything, but I think similar to last year, the same conversation of if Matt Vince comes back, then you run back the kind of veteran core. But if he doesn't, then you, in my opinion, they should flip the roster at this point and start going after youth, because they still have a Dane Smith who's a little bit older, an Anakoke who's a little bit older. I mean, they're all still young and in their primes, but they're not like, it's not like you're running full.
They're not coming
youth
into their primes.
Right. They're in it. And it's also, you're not just like, okay, if we move on from Joey Rez, then we have a bunch of 22-year-olds running around and no veterans. Like the whole core is still veteran. It's just getting a little bit younger. So to me, personally, I'd like to see them. I love Joey Rez. Love him as a player, and I'm happy he was able to come back, and I wish they would have done a little bit more with him, but I'd like to see them, if Kyle Buchanan doesn't come back, move on from him and try to get a little bit younger in the offense. I mean, 25 and Scanlon and then Tyson, who they got last year at 24, are your youngest guys. Other than that, most of them are on the, not older side, but like they don't have a lot
They're on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of backfill in their offense right now.
Yeah, to me, this is no shot at Joey Rez. I think the trade they made was the right decision. Again, I've said it multiple times. Understand what Lucas Nielsen is doing in summer ball right now, and I understand what he did when he got to Philly. But he was never going to do that here in Buffalo. It's kind of like Connor Fields. He was never going to do that here with Buffalo because of Josh Byrne. I think regardless of what they do in net, they need to get younger and faster on this offense. That's the way the offense is going across the league. Just look at what Toronto has done on offense with all their young pieces. And now I understand where Buffalo's draft picks are, and Toronto's a rare exception by having the top 3 draft picks and an early pick when Sam English 2 years ago. But I just think that that's the way the league is going. So bringing back a Joey Rez, while as good of a player as he is, it's not the direction that I want this offense to go in, where it's speed, it's quickness, where you saw that with Chris Cloutier and Chase Frazier here, not just because they were a group and they knew how to do it all, but they brought that speed and the athletic ability that I just don't think Joey Rez has right now. So if Kyle Buchanan does hang it up and he doesn't return, and you move off Joe Rez Terrace, that's at least 2 openings on that side if you want to go righty strong that you can open up and bring in a younger, fresher, speedier guy, where even if it takes some time to build him in, you still have a Dane Smith over there in his prime that can carry the load a bit, because we just saw it this year. We have Josh Byrne on the other side that's not going to go through a 4 or 5 game stretch where he's not producing well. You're going to have a healthy Ian McKay over there. You're going to have another Clay Scanlon in that lineup that has another year under his belt, because you saw the chemistry between him and Josh Byrne down the stretch of what they're able to do is kind of bringing the Chris Cloutier there. So, and then you're going to have a full-time Ian McKay out the front door as well. I think this offense is like 2 pieces away from being the piece in an offense across this league that is scary again. Like they went through that drought last year, I guess this last season, where the offense was the reason that they weren't winning games. Like how many times did we say they're scoring 9 goals, they ain't going to get to 10? So when you're looking at it right now, I think there's some work to do on the offensive end, but I don't think they're too many pieces away. So that means we'll transition to the transition here with Carter Coffey. To me, again, because of what I'm going on, he was on the active roster when the season ended. He's got 2 more years on his deal. Connor Farrell has 1 more year on his deal. Nick Weiss, UFA. but I can't see him going anywhere else. He's an assistant captain on this team. It makes no sense why he would go elsewhere. Mike McCannell's got one more year in his deal. Thomas Whitty's an RFA, and Tyler Hendricks an RFA. So that's your transition. We'll just push to the defense right now as well because it's all a combo. When you're looking at the lefties, Zach Belter's got 1 year left on his deal as a lefty. It's the only one under contract right now because Mitch DeSnoo is a UFA, can't be franchised unless he accepts it. Dylan Robinson and Cam Wayers are both RFAs. And then with the righties, Paul Dawson is a UFA. Taylor Dooley needs a new deal, but his rights remain with Buffalo. Matt Spanger's a UFA, and then Steve Perillo, 1 year left on his deal. So it doesn't look as bad as it is because really Paul Dawson's probably going to go off into the sunset. Maybe Matt Spanger, who knows, because he is 34, so he could keep playing. He's not one of those older guys, but with all the injuries that he's gone through, does he want to go and risk another one when he just left this season healthy? Mitch DeSnoo, does he end up coming back, or does maybe he go to Toronto? It's one of those situations where you just don't know what he's going to be because he got his trade to Buffalo. Buffalo made the trade, and then he accepted that franchise.
And also, does Toronto have room?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't see a ton of changes on this back end that are needed if they bring back a lot of the core. But I think the biggest question mark back here is what do you do with Mitch DeSnoo? Like, does he come back to this team? Do you want him back with this? And I know the record. I understand the record. Don't hear what I'm not saying. When he was in the lineup, when he wasn't on the lineup, I know how good he is. But how rogue he went towards the end of the season, you were able to keep him in check for the longest part of this year. And then towards the end of the season, he was actually hurting the defense when he was out there because he was going rogue so often. That's a big question. I know I'm going to get pushback and hate by saying, why don't you want Mitch DeSnoo back? Blah, 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 blah. I get that. I'm not saying I'm against bringing him back, but it's at least a question mark in my brain of do they bring back Mitch DeSnoo? And again, I understand how crazy it sounds, but just based on the last, and I guess that's going to be the last memory I have until they play again, is, he was negatively hurting them in the Oshawa game and in the Georgia game. As good as he is, he can go rogue sometimes.
Carter Coffey is a righty?
He is, yes. Righty transition.
Okay. That's unfortunate. Too many righties on this team. I was going to say,
it's perfectly spaced out, though. 3 righties in transition, 3 lefties, and then 4 lefties, 4 righties. They spaced it out perfectly considering where they started.
Yes. I was going to say, that was going to be my question, is do you move on from Mitch DeSnoo to open space for a Carter Coffey to play more defense in general? Because he was more of a transition, or rotating player, not transition, but rotating. Same with Dooley. Do you move on
I
from...
think even with Mitch DeSnoo, it might come down to what they do in net before he decides. Yeah, I love playing here in Buffalo, and I'm 34 years old. I need a chance to win here. What are you doing in net before even he makes a decision? So what they do in net might determine if he's even wanting to come back to Buffalo.
He's got a few, if he wants to stay close to home, I mean, there's a lot of NLL teams that are right in this little area around Toronto or where he works and everything. So he will have a few options. I don't know if any of them outside of Toronto really give you a better chance than what Buffalo can offer, even if, again, depending on the goalie situation, but I feel like it's going to be hard to beat Buffalo's roster with some of the other teams in the area. But I think it will come down to that. And again, do you want, it's hard to say no, because you're not going to find a better free agent,
right?
Most likely on defense that's willing to either stay on the team or come to the team. So it's hard to just say, knowing the talent he does bring, to say we don't want that back on our roster. He's still extremely talented, even when he goes rogue at times. I understand, like you said, we've brought it up multiple times that when he hurt the team, when he just kind of goes off on his own and tries to play hero, very similar to Josh Allen, just playing hero ball, and sometimes he launches an interception when there was a wide open dump off on a 3rd and 1 for a first down. But there's other times where, it works out and he gets 19 caused turnovers in a game and he looks great. So I feel like the amount of talent he has, it's hard to just give that up if he's willing to come back. I feel like they will re-sign him unless they want, again, to just find room for somebody new to give them a bigger look on the defense, like a Coffey or like a Dooley, to get them more playing time and just kind of move on to really bring in those younger players. So it's going to be, even, I guess, like in the Bandits' eyes, is this year a move on from the dynasty and rebuild and start getting the youth injected and really force the younger guys to play and like grow with this team? Or is it going to be, we think we can patch this together, retool, not rebuild, and we want to be right back in it? It's going to be interesting to see what their mindset is on the upcoming season. Obviously, with the forwards they have, you're always trying to win a championship, but there's a difference between trying and pushing all in and grabbing veterans and trying to really just fix your lineup a little bit with some older guys versus trying to truly rebuild and bring some of the younger guys along. Even if there's going to be bigger speed bumps in the road in the future, it's going to help you out a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see just what their mentality is on the next season.
Yeah, and it all comes down to net, because neither one of us, and I think of the majority of the people, I think it's literally 95-5 that Mad Vince will not be returning. And then it just leaves Evan C., who's got 2 years left on his deal, and then Wakika Chaganash, who's got a protective practice player deal there, so his rights also remain with Buffalo, even though he was on the practice roster. So to talk about like which direction Buffalo goes, it comes down to what they do in net, because again, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. They are not going into training camp with these two goalies as your only goalies on the team. They're bringing in a veteran, regardless of who it is. Maybe it's a Steve Orleman comes back. Maybe it's they go out and get a Nick DeMood. Maybe Zach Higgins' time has run out in Ottawa. They're gonna get a goalie. It just depends on, is it going to be a bridge goalie that you only need for a year or two until they believe Chaganash or Evan C. is ready, or are you going out and getting like a Nick DeMood who can be your franchise guy for 10 years or 8 or 10 years until Chaganash is 27 years old. So
really ready.
It really comes down to that, and when it comes down to that to me will define how Buffalo is looking at this team, and kind of how you were talking about, do they kind of move on with away from some of these guys that were your core pieces, whether it's through retirement or they just do not come back to Buffalo, or do they try to patchwork this team and try to fight for it? So in net, it's really going to determine what their direction's going to go. If they bring in a Steve Orleman, they're going to run with Orleman, Evan C., and Chaganash as your 3 goalie department. I think that's going to be a retool year where they're going, hey, we're going to try to fight for the 8th spot, but if we're in 10th through 12th, that's kind of according to plan there. But if they bring in a Nick DeMood, they're going to go out and they're going to try to re-sign Mitch DeSnew. They're going to go out and get maybe they bring back a Joey Rez. So it really comes down to what do they do in net that determines how the rest of their team is going to look. Do they think that, hey, okay, if we just get a steady body in net here, we have the other pieces that we can fight for a championship here. If we get just a steady, like Vegas did with an Alex Bouquet type of player, where they're like, okay, we can fight for an 8th spot here, and maybe we can get lucky in the playoffs like Halifax did. Or is it just rip off the Band-Aid real quick here and just go, let's do not exactly what Toronto did, because they got very lucky and strategically lucky with the top 3 picks, and their rebuild was overnight. I don't think Buffalo can do that, but they can retool real quick. Like, do they want to have? I guess it's like this. It can be as simple as this. Do they want to patchwork this team to try to get right back into contention real quick for another year or two, or do they want to take a year off, be quote unquote bad for those of you who are not watching YouTube, and come back the following year with all this new talent that kind of built together and went for it? So to me, it really comes down to what do they do in net that will determine how the rest of the offseason and the season ahead will look.
I know which way I want them to go, and I think you and I were both on record predicting their next season record. Which way would you prefer them to go? Would you like bring the veterans back, we'll say they bring a Nick DeMood somehow. We'll just say they grab that kind of, or that level of goalie, like someone who can really go for it. Do you like that and then trying to get the veterans, or do you think they should take the year off and truly bring some youth to this team and try to retool that way?
So if they get a Nick, I'm much higher on Nick Damude than I think a lot of people around the league are, because I don't think a lot of the problems that are in Philly are his problem. I think they got a goalie that can lead them to a championship. So I would try to re-sign a Mitch DeSnew, and I think you keep the majority of the core back on defense there. And then with the offense, I'm still like, regardless of what they do, personally, I'm not bringing back Joey Rezateris because that's not the offense I want them to look like. Yep. So if you get a Nick Damude somehow, your defense is like, re-sign Mitch DeSnew and you replace Paul Dawson and your defense is pretty much locked in there, then you need two pieces on offense. And to me, you're right there. And I know me saying that just there, it sounds easier than it actually is. And I know it sounds easier than it actually is. But I think it's like this. If they bring in a Nick Damude, I think their championship is still right there. If they bring in like a Zach Higgins, I think you give yourself like a 1 or 2 year buffer there. And if they bring in like a Steve Orleman, that to me, a type of player like a Steve Orleman, yep, that is like, okay, we're going to have a down year here, but the following year we're going to be ready to go. So those are like the different areas of
tiers.
I think there's like 3 different tiers of which way they can go.
All based on goaltender.
Yes. That's the way the league is.
Yeah. Like personally, I think just for the future of the team, I want to see them have 1 year off. I mean, just knowing what that team's been through the last 5+ years now, 6 years. I mean, with it ending kind of last year, I mean, they've just been through so much lacrosse, so much everything that I feel like you almost need a turning of the page moment that, okay, that dynasty's done and we need to inject some youth. I mean, like you said, look at the teams around the league that have been able to add. And again, Buffalo wasn't in this position, so I'm not taking shots at them, but you look at even Georgia with Nolan Byrne and what they were able to just inject into that offense that we thought was terrible. All of a sudden they have a rookie phenom and he just brings a different element, different attitude back to that offense. And I feel like to me, that's where this team kind of is, where they need 1 or 2 young studs to help the current studs that are already there. And that's what gets you to that next level once again, similar to, again, it's not going to happen, but Toronto's, not only the rebuild, but again, their mixture of veteran and youth, the combination there is kind of what made it work. I think, to me, Dane and Josh need that kind of youthful stud to kind of push them. I mean, again, they were both top 5 in the league in points. They don't need to be pushed too much, but I feel like they need that kind of youthful attitude back on their offense just to give them some more extra juice and a little bit of extra life.
So we got a lot more of the off season to go to break down this roster even more, and the off season might get even longer with the news coming out off Last Class last week with Jamie Dowick on the show. Philly is not the only team in trouble here. Ottawa is now in trouble as well. And when I had Dawson Nielsen on the show, he was feeling really good about Philly, and it sounds like Jamie's really hot about Philly finding a team as well. But then the news dropped about Ottawa and how Ottawa's in trouble now. I'm like, God, I knew their attendance was bad, but oh man, just based on attendance, and this is all per Daily Dive because he broke it down the way that I like to see it. He broke it down based on percentage of their barn sold out to tickets. And it's not just, again, it's not bodies in seats, it's tickets sold. So even if the tickets are sold, the bodies aren't there, they're still going to count the tickets sold, which is the right way to do it. But Ottawa ranked 14th in attendance based on percentage. Out of their barn, they sold less than 25% of their seats. It ain't good enough. And again, it's not just their fault. I understand that the previous commissioner and Nick, I can't even remember his last name, promised a lot of hopes and dreams with empty buckets behind his back. Like he lined his pockets and then took the payday and ran off. He did such a bad job for the league in terms of setting themselves up for their future. And I feel so bad for Brett Fruit, and I'll go over that in a second. But Philly's 13th. I mean, they filled their barn 33.48%. Then it came Georgia. So 3 teams that we knew struggled in attendance. The top 3 teams were all over 90% selling out their barns in Halifax, Buffalo, and Las Vegas. Round of applause for them because moving to Henderson, best decision they made. Getting him off the strip and into Henderson was fantastic. The growth that Vegas is showing is phenomenal. 8 teams over 50%, which add to Oshawa, great first year in Oshawa, Calgary, Colorado, Rochester, and San Diego. All teams doing well. Vancouver and Saskatchewan doing well over 40%. Toronto's coming in at 38.46. I thought they would be a bit higher. But again, these are just on percentages of tickets sold out of the possibilities of 100% selling out their barns. So that's the way I like to break down attendance, and seeing those numbers is based on how many seats are even available to be sold. And those are saying they never open the top bowl. They would open the top bowl if you sell at the lower bowl. That's how it works. The lower bowl sells out, you move up to the top bowl. So to me, based on the comments on Last Class with Jake Elliott, Philly sounds like they're in a good position right now with possible ownerships. Ottawa, though, it's time to be worried about Ottawa. Just one time I want a normal offseason, and even Jamie Dawick was saying it. The feelings that you have for Brett Frood about growing this league, he's been putting out so many fires just from when he started, and that he doesn't get enough appreciation for the time he's here. They've only lost one team when they could have lost 3 or 4 different teams. So, hats off to the work he's done behind the scenes with him and everybody else in that management group and the board of governors and so on and so forth. I know I bash on the league a bit, or less now than I did before, but the amount of fires that he's put out and just trying to stabilize this league, he hasn't been able to put in any time to grow the league because he's trying to protect the teams that are there and sustain it. So what the previous commissioner did to this league was set it back by a decade by just doing what he did. Everybody likes growth, but the growth they did so quickly on just lining his pockets set this league back 10 years, which is not fair to Brett. And, I don't know how anybody can really fully judge him on what he's done to grow this league when he's too busy trying to save the teams that are in it now.
Yeah, I feel like he's been trying to stabilize the league since he got here and has not been able to. And he's been
patching holes of that boat since he joined.
And it's no fault of his own by any means, but it's really hard to, like you said, grow a league when you're still trying to stabilize the teams that are there, which he's mentioned plenty of times before that, expansion's great, but I need to be able to worry about the teams that are here and get them on solid ground and then expand. And sadly, again, no fault of his own, he hasn't been able to get the league on solid ground yet. And now you see another team, like when we were headed into this offseason, you had Philly, but things sounded very positive about that situation because they were kind of ahead of it. Now all of a sudden Ottawa comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh boy, here we go again with more stuff going on. But hopefully maybe some of the amount of people he's probably talked to between Rochester and then Philly, hopefully he's got some people like, hey, we got a new team opening up. For those who didn't get this Philly team, you want Ottawa? We can give you one of the best players in the world. Good selling point. And speaking of that, poor Jeff Teat, he's I feel like he's kind of in a very weird way left for dead in this league. He's on a team that can't make playoffs. He's already moved once. He might have to move again. For being easily one of the best players in the league, if not the best talent in the league, I feel like he's just kind of a weird afterthought because they don't make playoffs, because they've moved, because he doesn't get the attendance to go watch him. It's a very strange situation for one of the premier stars of the NLL to just not have anybody watching him and not make playoffs yet in his career.
Yeah, and just to hit on what I said a couple weeks ago on when does Teat want out of Ottawa?
Now.
Maybe this is the way he gets out of Ottawa. I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yeah, I do think Daily Dive mentioned that if there was if there was an expansion draft because they truly lose Ottawa and that's the way somebody gets dispersal. Sorry. That's the way somebody gets Teat. Oh my God, that would be brutal.
Well, it would be Philly if Philly's around.
That'd be fun for them. Good for them.
Yeah. Let's just hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, please.
But
please do.
I know there's more talking points on Ottawa, but we're not in the know and all that kind of stuff. It's just we're hoping for the best to keep this league at 14 teams. You don't want to see another dispersal draft, but please just This is why we were talking for the last 5 years when Brentford took over. Those that are talking expansion have no idea what they're talking about. When Brentford took over, and you kind of said it, expansion's nice, but you need to stabilize the teams that are currently there. What have we seen for the last 5 years? So again, pat on our backs for saying, like, everybody's saying expansion. I don't see it in the near future until you stabilize what you currently have. That's what the previous commissioner failed to recognize, of stabilize what you currently have and then slowly grow this thing. Because if two teams possibly fold, I know Philly sounds good, but if two teams possibly fold, that's 50 more roster spots that are not being taken up on what I already fight with having 6 rounds of an NL draft that makes zero sense, because players on rounds 4 through 6 don't even stand a chance because they sign and then they don't have a spot. Like, their whole NLL career is pretty much done then. So to lose 50 more rosters, possibly 50 more roster spots, including jobs in the franchise as well, not even talking about them, and then all the, like, there's 6 more, like, it makes no sense. Like, they need to rework all this kind of stuff, but they can't, because he's trying to stabilize all the stuff now. Like, all the dreams that we have of trying to fix some stuff and, like, improve on things, he doesn't have time to, because he's trying to fix the problems of the sinking ship that's been left for dead. Like, it's just, so.
I mean, 3 of your premier teams, Vancouver, Saskatchewan, Toronto, aren't even, like, getting 50% of their barn filled.
Yep.
Like, that's not good.
That's why I like to look at the numbers that way, because you could see, like, oh, they brought like 6,000-7,000 fans in here, but yeah, they could have put 14, 15, 16,000 fans.
Yep.
And I get it's a smaller sport, I get that. But when you have a place like Halifax or Vegas over 90%, like, what are you not doing that these other teams are doing?
Exactly.
Like, it's so frustrating.
Something's wrong.
To want to grow this league, and then just every offseason we have to deal with this stuff, and now free agency is probably going to be delayed, and then the draft's probably going to delay. Everybody's saying it's too early to talk about that. Just flash back to the last 2 years, guys. It's so annoying being
good for Oshawa getting up over 50%.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie, just saying, you didn't want Oshawa, and look what's happening over there. But let's move on to our final one here. It's the 5th annual Sabres BSC Award nominee show. Our award show will be next week, and because of the platform that we record on, they don't pay us, so we're not going to advertise them. We can post images now. So if you're on YouTube, you can see our nice little graphic made by producer Pat. It's going to be shown right now. Boom! Right there on exactly what the nominees are. The nominees, or the award winners, are not highlighted yet. I don't even know the award winners yet. But Phil, let's go through the 7 awards with their nominees that will be handed out next week. We'll start with the BSC MVP for the Buffalo Sabres. This is our 5th year doing this. So I looked down memory lane. The first year we ever did this, Tage won. 2023, Tage won again. 2024, UPL won. And then last year, Tage took back over. This year's nominees for the BSC Sabres MVP are Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin, Alex Tuck, Alex Lyon, Josh Doan, Zach Benson, and Matthias Samuelsson, along with Bo Byram. Phil, the nominees are yours to talk about.
Real quick, this is a good question for the future winners as well, and for our listeners, though. Do we take playoffs into consideration for these awards? Okay.
I definitely do.
I did as well when putting my vote in. But I just want to make sure, because most times when they do these awards, it does not take playoffs into consideration. But it's our own show, and that's what makes our award special. We do take playoffs into consideration. Alex Tuck, just keep that in mind, sir.
Enjoy that $12 million. You're going to sign a free agency and take it in. Bye.
Yeah. Not in Buffalo, please. Tage Thompson had another fantastic season, 40-40. Pretty impressive. Very even across the board. 81 points, led all forwards pretty easily. Rasmus Dahlin, second in the team in points, was also up for the Defenseman of the Year award, and that's pretty impressive. He should have been there a few times by now, but a very, very well-deserved nomination for him, and if he's getting nominated up there, I guess we can nominate him on our show. Alex Tuch was a fantastic forward during the regular season and during the first round of the Boston series, and then he fell flat on his face. Alex Lyon helped stabilize the goaltender position along with UPL this year, but I think without him, UPL isn't what he is, and without Alex Lyon, this team isn't what it became. Josh Stone, young, fast, got his extension, looks great. Zach Benson, he might be the new darling of Buffalo and the Sabres. Tage Thompson's time is done. Zach Benson took the team over, and he's great. Matthias Samuelsson went from being traded for a bag of pucks to one of the best defenders on the team and played incredible. And Bo Byram, same kind of thing. Not really someone we wanted to trade, but a very streaky defender. Last year wasn't the best and had quite a great season this year.
Yeah. I mean, when you're seeing all three of the top four defensemen on this one, you kind of see who led this team. You had Alex Tuch, who faltered down the stretch. Alex Lyon, who had a great first round and then a bit of a second round. And then through the regular season as well, he was part of the tandem that led this team to where they were. Tage Thompson, once he decided, I actually have to work to skate on the ice, he turned into a great player. Alex Tuch had a really, really good regular season in the first round of the playoffs. And then Josh Stone and Zach Benson should just have statues built for them right now. Like, me and my brother hand out autographs to each other on holidays and birthdays. And, I got Tim Lincecum. I got the whole Ryan family. I got, that's Josh Rose in there. I got Jochen Hesch. I got a bunch of Joe Brady's. He gave me a Zach Benson one. Like, this is the first signature I've been able to hang up and be proud of having on my wall. But I'm a big Zach Benson guy. Everybody knows that. But yeah, I think this really comes down to a couple things when you're deciding between the MVP, and there's some names on there that deserve to be on there. There's some names that get recognition for being on there, but I think there's a handful of guys that could really win this BSC MVP. So stay tuned next Wednesday when we hand it out. Next one, Mr. D. It is for the top defensemen. This year's nominees are Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Samuelsson, Bo Byram, and Owen Power. Of course, it's the top four defensemen from this team that carried them the majority of the time. And in my opinion, it's the top four best defense across the entire NHL. Last year's winner was Dahlin. The year before that was Dahlin. The year before that was Dahlin. And the first year we ever did this was Rasmus Dahlin. So, Phil, Rasmus Dahlin's up there, but there are three more contenders. Does he get knocked off the platform? We're going to find out next Wednesday.
Yeah, Dahlin's really good at hockey.
He's pretty good, yeah.
He also forgot that in the playoffs until the end when he did remember, unlike Alex Tuch, and then he was like, I can dangle past everybody and score some incredible goals. You guys want to see those, or should I save them for next year? And you decided to pull a couple of them out. Matthias Samuelsson, I think he was a monster this season. I think everyone knows that, but to see where he came from, and he even talked about getting booed in his first game in Buffalo, I think this year, or at
He's
least
the definition of started from the bottom. Now
yeah. Booed to having a massive banner in the 300s of your name and everybody loves you. Bo Byram was one of my favorite players in the playoffs. I mean, he had that hot streak, but he just played incredible. I don't think they are where they are without him. And then even Owen Power, he was someone who had a lot of question marks, mainly because of the expectations put upon him being the first overall pick. It's always going to come with a ton of expectations. He's been lacking in kind of meeting those, but I think this season is the first season we've really seen him truly settle in to an NHL role and kind of become what he was expected to be. It took a little bit longer, and I still wish he was a little less of a quiet lamb out there and would just hit somebody every once in a while, but he's still an extremely steady defender, and he's really come into his own, and I expect him to continue to get better and maybe hit someone at some point.
So our award for that will be handed out next Wednesday. Our next award was created last year, and it's called the Gretzky Light. It is for the top forward. Last year's winner was Alex Tuch, and this year's nominees are Tage Thompson, Alex Tuch, Josh Stone, Jack Quinn, and Ryan McLeod. Phil, some interesting names up there based on what we saw in the regular season and the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if interesting's good for an offense, but I do think the consistency for 3 of those is really impressive. Thompson with 40 and 41, Tuck with 33 and 33, and Doan with 25 and 27. Very even splits between their goals and assists. They really like having to do a little both, just really be a well-balanced player. Then you got Quinn, who really came out this year. I think I really hope there's still another level to Quinn, because it seems there's so many times where you're like, wow, look at that guy go. He looks great. And then he does something, he just loses the puck or shoots it well wide. And you're like, what are you possibly doing? And I feel like toward the end of playoffs, he started to come on a little bit stronger. I think in playoffs, I think a lot of it came down to what his line mates were doing. I think he started to kind of lead the line by himself and was missing some help. So we'll see what they do in the offseason, but I think he is coming into his own more and more and more as long as he stays healthy. Hopefully his development is just a little bit behind because of all of his injuries. And I think if he can take that next step, that's got to be another famous line in Buffalo. I'm sure it is everywhere, but I feel like we feel it a lot more in Buffalo. There's always next year, and if he takes that next step, then where are we going to be? And look at how great we can be if that player, jumps through the stratosphere somehow. But he had a good season on McLeod. His are the most imbalanced points, 14 goals and 40 assists. But what he was able to bring to the team with his speed, with his tenacity, is tough play, but still being able to add up on the score sheet. I think he really helped balance the offense, and it wasn't all kind of one-sided with just skill players. And I think you saw what skill only brings in the playoffs when that top line just kind of evaporated. And then I know McLeod didn't have a great playoffs either, but I think you saw the Doan style players a little bit more fast and a little bit more physical kind of excel, whereas the Thompson and Tucks kind of fell off. So hopefully McLeod can get back to what he was doing during the regular season, but I think he did a good job balancing the offense.
So the next award is called the Bounce Ball. It's the Bounce Back Season Award nominee. And those nominees, you got 3 of them. It's Matthias Samuelsson, it's Jack Quinn, and it's UPL. Last year's award winner was Tage Thompson. The year before that was Yoki Haru. Year before that was Middlestad, and the year before that was Jeff Skinner. One of those players is still on this team. I think there's a front runner here, and I think it's Matthias Samuelsson right now. And I mean, how do you? It's hard not to give it to him, but then you look at what Jack Quinn did this year by playing a full season and him stepping it up and taking his game to another level, and how snake bit he was in the playoffs by the amount of chances he had and the goaltenders sit there. But then it goes back to UPL as well. Like I think all 3 of these ones could win this award because just you finally saw what a bunch of people were hoping they could be. Like Jack Quinn was the early draft pick that everybody was just waiting on. Like you had JJ Peterka, you had Dylan Cousins and Jack Quinn. You had the young kid line. Jack Quinn's the only one left standing from that kid line, and I think he took his game to the next level. I think there is another gear to him, but I think you need to see that next year because he proved that he is the type of player that can play in the playoffs. Matthias Samuelsson, like I said, bag of pucks. That's what we wanted to trade him for. We wanted to buy him out. This is one of the best decisions Kevin Adams made this entire offseason of not, diving into peer pressure and buying out Matthias Samuelsson, because he's one of the best defenders across the entire league now. And when the Olympics come back around, Matthias Samuelsson could have his name in there for an Olympic spot on the defensive end if he plays continuously like he did here. And then UPL, again, another player that he's done. Like, trade him anywhere. I just want him off this team, and so on and so forth. And then he kind of crumbled down the stretch, but and the last memory we're going to have him until next year is that shot that goes in past him in overtime. But I think all 3 of these players kind of hit the right notes this season and exceeded what we had expectations for them this year, and that's why they're all up for this award.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. I mean, Quinn easily had his career high in points and just, like you said, playing
first
a full
time
season.
Every game this season.
Yeah, which is huge. UPL, like, same thing. A lot of these players we were talking about getting rid of, and I think that's a big part of not just you go from being gotten rid of in our minds to staying on the team, but you go from gotten rid of to staples on the team. So I think they all deserve to be up there.
Well, 3 more awards here. You Got a Kid, This one is for the top rookie and the newcomer. Last year's award winner was Yuri Kulik. The year before that was Zach Benson. The year before that was Jack Quinn. And the year before that was Matthias Samuelsson. It's good company to be in here. So the award nominees are Josh Doan, Noah Ostlund, Connor Timmins, Sam Carrick, Zach Metza, Logan Stanley, Constance Salenius, and Michael Kesselring. Phil, take it away.
Yeah, there was a lot of youth and a lot of newcomers this year, and they all had pretty good seasons. Josh Doan, like we already talked about, kind of came out literally flying. And once they put him and Benson together, and especially in the playoffs, like they took off. And you could tell, not that Doan, I don't think maybe he can't drive a line by himself, but you could tell how much he was missing his best friend when they put Tuck on his line instead and sent Benson up top to help Tage get some life, which I think he did, but you could see what it did to Doan. But Doan's contract, I think, is great. And I think what he was able to bring to this team was fantastic. Ostlund, you saw, again, talk a lot about the playoffs, but that's most recent memory. You saw what happened when he went down and they lost him in the lineup. And I think a lot of the lineup changed. And we talk about this so often that when you lose one player anywhere in the lineup, it shifts everybody around in places that maybe you don't feel comfortable having them in, but you're forced to put them in those situations when you lose someone. So when Ostlund was in the lineup, you could tell the difference. And when he was out of the lineup, there was a big difference. Connor Timmins had an okay season. I wasn't thrilled with his playoffs, but he is a very steady presence as the kind of what we've already talked about a lot in this season. The sheltered third line. I think he is a very solid player. He makes some mistakes, but that's what third line defensemen do. We also had some ridiculous kick save passes in the playoffs more than once. I don't know what he's always kind of doing, kicking passes around, but he did great with it. Sam Carrick, really wish we would have seen a lot more of him. Did amazing, got injured, hoping he was going to do something, and then got injured again, but the last one was not his fault by any means. Metza had an incredible season. Really think he should have been a bigger part of the playoff roster. Not really sure why he was not. He played. I know you had to get the guys in toward the end of the year, but I feel like Metza got the short end of the stick. I know he's a little bit smaller of a player, so it kind of makes sense, but he was so good for the team. He was so steady as a third line defender. And then even when he was doing great, they sent him down, and then they didn't really give him a fair shot in playoffs until maybe it was too late. Stanley, very consistent. I think when he got here, he struggled a little bit when he first started, but then he became a pretty steady, again, third line defender. But then when things got really fast, he kind of didn't do so great. Helenius, however you want to say his name, Consta, was incredible, and I'm very excited to see what his future looks like. He looked very confident, very just fast, and he definitely has some learning to do for sure. Jumping into the NHL in playoffs is not exactly where you want to be, but he learned quick. He looked really good. And Kesselring had an up and down season. Another player that I might have wanted to see a little bit more of in playoffs. I don't know why they were leaning so much on who they were at that time, but we'll see what they do with him in the offseason.
So that award will be handed out Wednesday along with the rest of these. We got 2 more awards to go through. Crease Captain.
These
obviously.
Winners. Yikes.
Yeah. This one's for the top goalie. Nominees are obviously UPL, Alex Lyon, and Colton Ellis. I thought they performed fantastic in the regular season.
All 3 had a shutout.
Yes, they were really, really good in the regular season. Last year, James Reimer. Year before that was UPL. Year before that was Devin Levi, and the year before that was Craig Anderson. Like, whoo, baby. I think putting Colton Ellis, however you want to call his name, putting him in there is just kind of a nod, because I thought he played pretty well when he was given the opportunity, but you had the 2 horsemen ahead of him. So I mean, a little bit of a nod to him because he's part of the goalie room. But UPL and Alex Lyon, what they were able to do, especially in the regular season, when they had like the consistency of your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. It was working flawlessly. Like, how many times have we seen in the NHL history of 2 goalies over 20 wins each? Like, we got all off season talk about it, but I'm very nervous about bringing that same pairing back next year. But what we're talking about is this year. And if the offense, if Alex Tuck, if Ryan McLeod, if anybody, like the top performers did anything in the in the playoffs in the round 2 versus Montreal, I don't think this would be as big of a conversation because I thought they played well to an extent and really rough to another extent. But I think it's a 2-horse race between UPL and Alex Lyon in this one.
Absolutely. I did just look it up. Assuming the AI overview was correct, exactly 18 teams.
Yeah.
Not many in league history have had 2 goalies with 20 or more wins in the same
NHL's
season.
been around for a while.
Well, yeah. So 18 is extremely low. Really, really impressive season by both of them. And yeah, I mean, Ellis had a shutout. He was fun. He was there. He started when we went to the game for the anniversary. Yep. And yeah, he looked insane. 90% of the time he was in front of us skating all over the place. But they won the game, and it was against Montreal, so who cares? But yeah, UPL and Alex Lyon absolutely steadied the crease. And it was something, again, this season seemed like outside of the power play, everything that they were lacking kind of came together in one season toward the end more than anything. But once December hit, like their goaltending that had been up and down and inconsistent for years finally settled in. Even it was a very, very strange way to do it, but it worked. Their defense finally settled in and was consistent, and their offense was pretty consistent. So obviously that's what you want from a team, and that's how you're a good team, is when all 3 phases work. But I feel like for a lot of years we've seen offense and defense are good, there's no goaltending, or offense and goaltending are great, there's no defense. And just we've never really seen all 3 go together. And I think a big part of that this year was because of UPL and Alex Lyon.
Last award here, and give me more, give me more. It is, and don't copyright that because I sang it so well. Need more next year, or want more of, or want back. This is kind of the BSC classic here of however we want to interpret this one. Last year's award winner was UPL. I think he did it. Year before that was the team, because they just stunk completely. I think we got it this year. Jordan Greenway, I think we finally got it. And Casey Middlestad, he's doing it on Boston. This year's nominees are Josh Norris, Matthias Samuelsson, Noah Ostlund, Yuri Kulik, Konsta Helenius, and Jason Zucker. Phil, take it away.
Yeah, Josh Norris, man, we had some tough times talking about him in playoffs. I was not thrilled with what he was able to do, and PK was saying, well, why aren't you looking at Jason Zucker, who's also on this list for disappearing? Norris, I think, toward the end of playoffs, started to do
He was very good defensively. He just wasn't needed with Doan and Benson.
Yes. And yeah, he was invisible on that line. Like we talked about that a lot, that it was pretty much Doan and Benson versus the world on that line, and Norris was kind of skating around, just pretty much staying out of the way. But especially in the last game, his faceoffs were through the roof. He was very good. He just needs to find his scoring touch a little bit more and
stay healthy.
Stay healthy is a big part of it. Like I feel like I have hope for him, and more than anything, no one's going to pick him up. So he's going to be a Buffalo Sabre. His contract is very expensive for what he's been able to show so far, which is a not healthy player. So I don't think you're going to be able to trade him at all. So he's going to be here. If he's going to be here, you need more from him. I know we started to show it a little bit during the season that he started to play a little bit better, but he's another one similar to Quinn. Like if you can get a full season out of him and he shows some production, he'll be a huge addition that's already here. Samuelsson is just kind of repeating what he did this year. Don't regress to the former player. I know a lot of that, again, is health related, but just because you saw it this year doesn't mean, it could be a one and done kind of thing. You hope it isn't, but that's why you want to see more. Ostlund, be healthy, and you want to see more of him in general, just because he's a player that's growing on this team. He's a player that's going to become a hopefully bigger staple next year, and I think he is a player that could take off. I don't expect him to go nuclear or anything, but I think you could see a 40, 50 point season out of him if he's having a really good season. Kulik was the biggest thing with him was, is he going to be back? And it seems like he's officially going to be back for next season. So now you want to see him inserted that back into that lineup and be a little bit more of a staple. Same with Konsta. You want him to become the player that you saw in playoffs, where you saw glimpses of what he could be. I think more than anything, you just want to see what he can do during a whole season, what he looks like with an established NHL offseason, being more established on this team. And then Zucker had a very good season, but then vanished in the playoffs, and PK went over his stats that he seems to do that more often than not in his career, and that is just not something you want to see. And it's a main reason I think you and I are okay, other than the money, with letting Tuck go. I mean, with the years he has, the contract he's looking for, but more importantly, in your biggest moment, you vanished. And when the Sabres needed some offensive help, Tuck was nowhere to be found. And if that's going to happen again, that's just not something you want to be able to rely on. And right now, Zucker is in the exact same boat. He just kind of vanished when you needed him the most. And that's not something you can really do or rely on. So you're looking for more from him throughout the season, but also, more importantly, keep it going through the playoffs.
So that is all 7 of our awards and their nominees and prior year winners. If you're watching on YouTube, now that the site that we use, again, pay us and we'll let you know who you are. You can see the list of nominees on the screen as well. Thank you for finally allowing us to put images on here, but I'm stopping that now. So Phil, and everybody else listening, come back on Wednesday next week. It's the first show of June to find out the award winners. I might be all dialed up depending on how hot it gets up here. Might be in my nice jacket, my used car salesman jacket that I wore to Phil's wedding, because that was the type of theme, not used car salesman, but the theme of it was, I don't even know how to describe the theme of it. Peaky Blinders type of thing. I don't know how that doesn't fit, but it was a cool, I liked it. I liked it. I don't know where I'm going with this, but find out next Wednesday who the award winners are for the first successful season since we started covering the Buffalo Sabres for our 5th annual Sabres BSC Award show, the most coveted award in all of sports and entertainment history. Next week, we also got another Bandits topic to bridge the gap until their time on the nominees. Stay tuned for next week. At some point, I will be posting all over social media, all in the groups. We're going to be asking for your Bandits fan favorite of the year. It's going to be like a week and a half to 2 week gap of where you can vote by just simply saying who was your favorite Buffalo Bandit of the week. So stay tuned next week for when we post that. I will probably post it Thursday or Friday next week. So next show, I will also advertise it. To round this out, I will be on Talking Buffalo on Thursday this week, so give that a listen. We're recording on a Wednesday. It'll be out on Thursday. But other than that, Phil, anything else before we shut this one down for another week off? It's been a nice, relaxing transition into the off season here.
What's not relaxing, PK and I will have to talk after this show because we have a reel to do. But if anyone was wondering, I don't know if anyone really was, but Tap That Tap Room was a monster sponsor of this show pretty much since we started sponsors, and they've been extremely consistent for us. They are no longer a sponsor. It's because they are no longer going to be a bar. Sadly, they are moving on to bigger and better things, but they are closing it down this weekend, May 29th through May 31st. You can go, and there is beer specials all day. They got a coffin cooler. You can wear Sabres or Bandits gear or black funeral attire. It was a really, really great place. Amazing sponsor, but it was a lot of fun for us. We went there plenty of times. Loved it. Loved the atmosphere. Loved it for the Bandits games. Loved it in general. We did some trivia there. That was a fun time. They were a really great place to go. So it is a major bummer, but that is where they are going. Moving on, but one last hurrah for them, May 29th through May 31st, this upcoming weekend. So go there, support them one last time, and then they will be moving on.
Yeah, it's for those that hadn't been listening, they stopped being a sponsor, I think, in April, I believe it was. Yeah. But yeah, that's why they kind of went away. It's nothing that we had any disagreements or any of that kind of stuff. We say it all the time. We're never going to have a sponsor on this show that we don't actually use and partake ourselves and stand behind. And it definitely sucked hearing that news when you got the email about why. And like, oh God, that really does suck, because we really liked going there. It was like the perfect environment for our type of friend group, of just like more relaxed, no bartenders, no crowds. It was a fantastic place. So it definitely sucked. That's just the time we're in right now, without getting political or any of that kind of crap, of just places that you love closing down for just reasons beyond their control. It definitely does suck. But yeah, go out there, support them this final weekend, and it's like they want to go out with a bang. Give them a going out with a bang by filling those doors and getting out there whenever you can, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Like shut that place down and make them have to do. I'm not going to say that part. I was going to say make them do repairs to the building because I don't want to put that out there. But just drink them dry is what I'll say. Make sure they sell out of all their stuff and show them that, you know, Western New York definitely did love them because the show and the people that are hosting the show definitely did. But we'll shut that down, and we'll shut this show down by thanking you all for listening as I find the outro because it's a new revamped website. Oh, it's not playing. There we go. Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky, Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, everybody, we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye-bye!